rain for the Millennium City, Gurugram, to sink down to its knees. There were 5 to 7 kilometer long traffic jams on the main arterial highway. It's called NH8. It basically links Delhi all the way to Jaipur through Gurugram. And these were the scenes last night on that main arterial highway. It was chock-a-block, full of traffic, full of cars. There was hardly anybody there to try and get a handle on the situation. And this is something that repeats itself every few days, every few weeks. There were parts of the city where people pay something like 20 and 30 and sometimes even 50 crore rupees for an apartment building, and then they were stuck outside because the roads leading up to their apartment complexes were clogged with water. Gurugram pays up to 40% of all of Haryana's taxes. It is the cash cow of the state. There's precious else in terms of other urban centers in the state. This is the milch cow, as it were. And yet, no one in authority seems to care about the state of Gurugram, whether it is the chief minister, the local MP, the MLA, even the mayor of the municipality, the municipal corporation of Gurugram. None of them seem to care about this city literally going down the drain. So if they don't care, then what hope in hell do you, the citizen, have in Gurugram? We will take you through what happened last night and what continues to happen in that city. And this is a perfectly avoidable problem. It's just waterlogging. All you need is better drains and a better water management system. And this is something that cities around the world have dealt with in their own way. But why does it happen? Time after time, week after week, month after month in the Millennium City, right in the national capital. I want to first play out what our reporters discovered today on the morning after these heavy rains. It's raining right now too. We will get you a status check of what's happening there right now. But first, I want to play out what our reporters brought to you through the day today.
After just 10 minutes of rain, the entire city of Gurugram is yet again inundated in water. Currently, I am reporting from one of these locations in Gurugram, which is yet again seeing massive water logging that is happening over here. I am currently reporting from one of the busiest chowks out here in Gurugram, that is the Rajiv Chowk, and this is the condition of the subway over here. Even after 12 hours since the rains have stopped over here, this entire subway is still inundated in water.
We are currently at the office of Municipal Corporation Gurugram. As you can see the board behind me, and viewers, this is the situation of the MCD office just after 10 minutes of rain. The very own office which is responsible, the authority which is responsible to make sure that the streets and the roads of Gurugram do not turn into rivers here.
बहुत सारे एरियाज है जो कि पानी भरा ही रहता है, वो निकलना इम्पॉसिबल है वहाँ से।
देखिए इतना पानी में मैं वहाँ से भीग के आया हूँ, वहाँ से, और बोल रहे हैं कि 20 रुपये दो तब मैं आपको ना कंपनी तक छोड़ूंगा।
Now, just in case you think that Gurugram's condition because of this rain is for the lack of funds, that's not the case. It is not the lack of funds. It's the richest city in Haryana. It's simply a lack of just putting your brain down to town planning. The civic body has a budget of, just for sewage and drainage alone, of 35 crore rupees. In addition to this, 80 crore rupees have been allocated for roads, construction of roads, relaying old roads, worn out roads. 350 crore rupees is for waste management, and yet you see the heaps and heaps of garbage piling up, including in that subway that our reporter was reporting from just a moment ago, the clip that we showed you. 350 crores is what Gurugram has allocated for garbage disposal and for waste management. Another 100 plus crores have been allocated for new infrastructure development, so roads, flyovers, walkways, etc. But the city is completely in shambles. So if you add up all of this, the entire budget for the city of Gurugram that's been allocated in the Haryana state government's budget is over 1,500 crores. That's not pocket change. That's not small money. 1,500 crores for the Millennium City, and yet look at what happens there every single time it rains. Now, it's time to fix responsibility. It's time to fix accountability. And let's start right at the top. The man who's in charge of the state. Nayab Singh Saini is the Chief Minister of Haryana, so the buck stops with him right at the top. But he's also the minister who's in charge of town and country planning as well as urban estates. These are all portfolios directly linked to city planning, licensing and urbanization. So the Chief Minister has to take responsibility. Number two, the local member of parliament. There's a lot a local MP can do. Rao Inderjeet Singh. And he's a veteran, mind you. He's a three-term Lok Sabha member of parliament from Gurugram. He's won in 2014, won again in 2019, and won again in the last election in 2024. He's a three-term MP. At the end of this term, he would have been 15 years as MP. He was previously with the Congress and now with the BJP. His parties have changed, but clearly nothing much seems to have changed for the city. Then there is the local MLA. His name is Sudhir Kumar Singla. He's a BJP MLA. He represents the Gurugram constituency, the Vidhan Sabha constituency. Again, local MLA, local MP, not to be seen in the last 24 hours. And then the most directly involved person or the directly in charge person is the mayor of the city, the mayor of the Municipal Corporation of Gurugram. He's another individual who you would ask questions to. The person's name is Raj Rani Malhotra. She's the mayor of the MCG, the head of the corporation, directly accountable to the people of Gurugram for this mess. Again, we haven't heard from her, we haven't seen her. It's time to put this out because it's time for some accountability. It's time for some responsibility. And these are the people who are in charge. You, the people of Gurugram, please hold them accountable. We're trying to put them accountable on the show tonight here on Tacks. But for the civic body, it's citizens. And we spoke to a joint commissioner in the MCG. You will be absolutely astounded by what this joint commissioner, this bureaucrat, had to say. Let's listen into what he had to say, and then we'll open up our phone lines as well so that you can call us and express your pain, your absolute anguish at having to endure what Gurugram has been enduring last night and nights before that, weeks before that and months before that.
इस बार हम पूरी तैयारी के साथ कर रहे हैं और क्योंकि ये जो प्रॉब्लम्स होती है सैनिटेशन की वो सब लोगों से मिलकर होती है, उसका रेजोल्यूशन होता है, वो एक कोई बंदा नहीं कर सकता. उसके लिए पब्लिक को भी साथ आना पड़ेगा कि वो कि वो भी खुद ध्यान रखें ड्रेनेज वगैरह का और साफ सफाई का ध्यान रखें, कूड़ा खुले में ना फेंकें, अथोराइज्ड जो हमारे जो गाड़ियाँ जाती हैं उन्हीं को दें. तो ये सबको मिलकर करना होगा और इसमें एमसीजी अब अच्छे स्तर के ऊपर काम कर रही है.
So it's collectively everybody's responsibility. That's the joint commissioner of the municipal corporation. That's what he says is everybody's responsibility so that it's nobody's responsibility. Please call us. The city is sinking again. The year changes. The season changes. The story does not change. Is there no will at all to save our cities? And Gurugram is just one example. This is the same story in Bangalore some days, in Chennai another day, in Mumbai a third day. Call us with your views, 0120-640-3751. That's the number you need to call, 0120-640-3751. And I want to tell our producers, especially if people are calling from Gurugram and if you were stuck in that massive jam last night, we will give you priority to go on the air. I want to go across to 4 residents of Gurugram who, just like a lot of people who've been talking to us on social media, are extremely angry. Every time this happens, they were angry last night, they're angry tonight. And tonight we're giving them a platform so that the powers that be, and I listed out the honorable worthies, the gentlemen and women who are responsible for running that city, let them hear tonight what people of Gurugram have to say. Lazar Yankovic is a Serbian expatriate, lives in Gurugram, runs a cleanliness drive in Gurugram. Thank you very much, Lazar, for joining us. Suhail Seth, columnist and commentator on television. You've heard him, argue very passionately and forcefully for cleaning up the mess that Gurugram has become. Dr. Leena Dhankar is author and journalist. She's been, again, tweeting about it, talking about it. And Raman Malik is leader with the BJP. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. So let me start with you. I mean, you've been talking about this for God knows how long. Why does no one in authority in Gurugram, in Haryana, consider this problem worthy enough of their attention?
Because they are the 3 monkeys. They're deaf, dumb, and blind. That's who they are. It is a terrible show. It is a disservice to humanity. I'm surprised that Naib Singh Saini and before that his predecessor ML Khattar and before that Huda, all these guys have run Gurugram into the ground. and the Prime Minister who keeps exhorting. In fact, the first public program that the Prime Minister launched was Swachh Bharat. There's a reason for that. The apathy is appalling. The arrogance is bewildering, and their total lack of accountability is insufferable. But nothing's going to change. The good news is nothing will change. You know why? Shame has disappeared. Earlier, politicians used to be ashamed. You mentioned a litany of people, they haven't been seen. They are either Macbeth's witches who come in the opening scene and then disappear, or they are the Mr. India equivalent, totally invisible. Inderjeet Singh, not seen. Narbir Singh, not seen. Whoever that lady, the mayor, never seen. MLA, we don't even know about. These are non-existing worthies. You have the DC, Gurugram, who yesterday says, oh, it's raining and it's flooded, so please don't come to work tomorrow. After it's rained and after it's flooded. This is the kind of nonsense we are tolerating in this country because there is no one speaking truth to power. There is zero accountability. People are scared. I don't know why. And this is utter nonsense. You have created a republic of nexuses, which is why you are at this stage today. BJP is the same. The Congress is the same. Aam Aadmi Party, you know what they did? They buggered up Delhi. So is the politician totally averse to development? The answer is yes. Why? Because the politician only cares for power. Earlier, you had the twin pillars of people and power. You assume power to serve the people. Today, you're assuming power and you don't give a damn about the people. And when such a travesty of justice takes place, nothing can happen. And let me tell you, whether it is Naib Singh Saini, Manohar Lal Khattar, Manohar Lal Khattar brought Gurgaon to ruin. What does he get? A promotion. He's in the union cabinet. And let it be even more ironic, he is heading urban development. It's like asking a dacoit to become a teller of a bank. How ridiculous can things be? Look, I'm no supporter of any political party. I have equal disdain for them. I don't care. The Congress did its own fair share of destruction by allowing builders and developers to do the kind of nonsense. The citizen is equally to blame. Raman Malik talked about citizen apathy in some of his tweets, and I totally agree. The citizens are bribing people in order to legalize illegal construction. Where do you want to go?
Okay.
हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है, अंजाम गुलिस्तान क्या होगा? और यही अंजाम हम आज देख रहे हैं. ये गुलिस्तान बह गया है. I don't give a damn about how many crores apartments are. There are 6 hospitals, Zaka. God forbid. People need ambulatory services? No. People need emergency medical care? No. People need chemotherapy? No. Is this what you want a country to be? You talk about a bloody smart city, you don't have any goddamn idea. You talk about daily wages. These scoundrels suck votes out of people by saying, oh, we are for the poor. They are for no one but themselves. This is a self-serving prophecy. And unless someone is made accountable, unless you have demonstrable punishment, unless you have courts intervening, nothing will change. These guys will not change. They live from crisis to crisis. They are vultures who feed on our misery. Let that be known.
I want to go across to a couple of callers who are calling us. A lot of folks have been engaging with us on social media. But before I go to them, I want to go to Lazar. Lazar Yankovic, like I said, is a Serbian national, a Serbian expatriate. Him and a bunch of his friends and colleagues run a cleanliness drive in Gurugram. First of all, Lazar, I'm really sorry. I apologize on behalf of the folks who are watching this program to you and your friends who've come all the way. Maybe you love India, maybe you love working here, but you're having to do the basic stuff which municipalities in any country should be doing. So I'm really sorry that you're having to do this. But tell us, there are a lot of good things in Gurugram. No one's doubting any of that. No one's underplaying any of that. But every once in a while, like it happened last night, and it's possibly happening right now, given the rains, the city just becomes unlivable, unmovable. You can't go from point A to point B. You're stuck in a traffic jam. There is, piles of garbage. How are you and your friends sort of dealing with this problem? Why did you decide to take this matter up into your own hands to start with?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me tonight. But I have to correct you in one thing. I really don't want anybody to apologize to me. I don't want anybody to say sorry. I just want people to take action. Because I see the easiest thing that's been happening in India is people pointing fingers at each other, saying that this is this person's fault or that person's fault. Let everybody take accountability from themselves. So I feel like everybody needs to be a part of this because this is a very big problem in India. Whether you go to North India, South India, even in certain parts of Northeast, you will see the same problem. There is littering, there is garbage all over the place. So the easiest thing to do right now is to point fingers to say, is this person's fault, that person's fault. Let all of us come together. Let's all of us take the initiative and try to make the change, and let's see what's going to happen after that. Because I see a lot of people being very demotivated. A lot of people already gave up on all of this. So once they saw us doing this work, I feel this brought a lot of inspiration because a lot of people actually want to join in. A lot of people actually want to make the change. So I feel like, if we start from an individual level, a lot of other things will be changed further on. I cannot involve myself or like point fingers at anybody. I'm just trying to make people understand that they need to start from themselves, and then we're going to see what's going to happen.
Lazar, I'm just curious to know whether you or your friends tried approaching, the local corporators or bureaucrats, and what do they tell you when you approach them or your friends approach them for why things are not being fixed?
So actually, if you followed my page, if you saw my work, I have never approached anybody in this way. I'm just trying to approach people directly who live in the area. Because it's easiest thing to do is point fingers at somebody. Well, we are the ones throwing garbage in front of our homes. Okay. So I feel like once we, let's say, for example, change that, then we can escalate this to another level. Okay. This is just my perspective.
Let's get a couple of callers in. A couple of them are calling from Gurugram. Anurag Saxena is our first caller. He's calling us from Gurugram. Good evening, Mr. Saxena. First of all, tell us, what do you and your family had to go through in the last 24 hours?
Good evening to everyone.
Yeah.
I think, first thing, we need to keep the motivation right. Most of our government employees feel they are above any other people. The attitude of government employees need to change. Mm-hmm. Today we are in a democratic setup. Still, I feel the government employees are working still as they are they are something above the citizens of India, and they can do whatever they feel like doing it.
Okay, Mr. Saxena, thank you for your call. Mr. Prakash Raghu is also calling us. Yes, Mr. Raghu, go ahead.
This problem is not isolated to Gurugram. This is all over the country. Number two, people need to have civic sense. Number three, there are plenty of encroachments, which are vote banks for all political parties.
Okay.
And number four, there is absolutely no political will to change. How will you remove the encroachers? Once you remove the encroachers, you lose your vote bank. So it's a very vicious cycle. It's just like catching a tiger's tail.
All right. Mr. Prakash, thank you for your call. Mr. Pawan is also calling us from Gurugram. Yes, good evening, Mr. Pawan. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Jaka. And good evening to Suhail. He's me also from Cal. Mm-hmm. So we have an association with him. But the two problems that I want to state is, what were the police doing? There weren't any police personnel on any of the roundabouts, nor at...
Okay. All right, I think there's a problem with that audio connection. We'll try and go back to Mr. Pawan. But one of the points he made was there were no cops regulating this traffic. Suhail also wanted to make a point before we go to our other two guests. Yes.
I just want to make a limited point
Suhail,
to the Serbian gentleman.
Yeah.
Excellent work that you're doing. I'm sorry, it is not the work of the citizen to clean the city. This is exactly what these jokers want. They want us to be responsible. Yes, I told that to Raman Malik. I said that in my opening remarks. The citizen is equally responsible for some of the garbage, the construction debris. But it is their job. We are paying taxes for these jokers to work. Don't let them get away. They want people. Oh, bhai, ab citizen karega. Why? I'm paying my taxes. Is it my bloody job to clean the streets? No. Is it my job to remove construction debris? No.
So
why should I?
Let me ask Raman Malik. You heard what Suhail has to say. You heard what our gentleman from Serbia had to say. The other callers. Mr. Malik, let's call a spade. I think there is lack of political accountability, and I put this up on the video wall before I came to all of you. I said the buck stops right from the top. It starts with the chief minister, the member of parliament, the MLA, the mayor, the local corporators. Nobody's out. Nobody was out when the city came to a standstill yesterday. If these people are not accountable, then who is in a democracy?
First of all, Jazaka, I'm always known for calling a spade a spade.
Yes.
And that is why a lot of people hate me, even in my own party. So I have no problems in that. Number two, just now before coming on to your show, I had given some solutions on the Twitter. I've tagged the honorable ministers, but also correcting you. You've named a poor guy who is not even the MLA now. Sudhir Singla is not the MLA now. He was the MLA, now it is some guy by the name of Mukesh Pehlwan. And then Mr. Rao Narbir, who is the minister also, a cabinet minister in Haryana and the MLA from Badshahpur. And then you have Sona MLA and you have 4 MLAs in the district of Gurugram. So let's understand there are 2 MLAs who are directly responsible for Gurugram city and this other part of the Gurugram which comes under Badshahpur constituency. Now if you look at it, you have to understand there is no lack of funding or laws. That is the part of the legislature. That is one part of it. The other part of it is, which is most important, is the executive part of it. The executive has not been performing. Some officers right at the top, I saw the DC at the night, I was there outside, I've just kept, you can ask your cameraman, he can give you the shots. My car was all drenched in the water, my car had all water inside. So it is, I've opened it up to dry out whatever little it can. So I was out on the streets. So I saw the DC, I saw the commissioner, I saw some SDMs. But the problem is not on that tire. The problem is below that. And also what the gentleman from Serbia said, which Sohail may not have appreciated, but that fact is there. Sohail, here I would like to differ a little bit. The problem with us, the citizens, is if we have a rapper lying at one point for 2 days, that becomes a kudadan. That is not okay. If the people in the municipal corporation are not, please Sohail, let me, my request is Sohail, please listen out to me.
I said it in my opening remarks that the citizen is equally responsible.
Sir,
I said it.
Sir,
since you're misquoting me, it's important for me to correct.
Sir, my request, sir. Sir, at least I expect patient hearing from you. You are one of the best speakers. One of the best speakers.
Sure.
Go on, Mr. Malik. But Mr. Malik,
so
look, but my point is, it's not the citizens' job to be building stormwater drains. That's what Gurugram needs. That's why it's drowning.
No. I am coming to that also. Zaka, please listen out.
Okay.
I am talking practical sense. I have knowledge of real estate and town planning very well. So that is why I am talking with authority that the problem with my Gurugram, my city, is that this city was built luck by chance. Because its proximity to South Delhi, this became a hub for money minting. And everybody milked this cow. Now the problem is the floodplains which were there from the hills have been converted into sectors, into markets, into everything. My drainage system is at 25 mm rain. My drainage system has been designed at 25 mm rain because this is part of the Ahirwal, and Ahirwal was supposed to be a dry area. It was built at 25 mm rain. The people are not understanding that this entire system needs to be uprooted. The drains, the master drains needs to go down and everything needs to be done, and that is a part of the planning of the executive. The money is not the problem. The money is not the problem from the state government, state exchequer,
no, but
nor
Malik
the
Saab,
city.
who then? No, one second.
It's
like saying.
We have
no, one
about
second.
8 to 2.
One second. Malik Saab, it's like saying the CEO of this company, right? The company that I work for, the CEO of the company allocates the money, right? But if the work doesn't get done, you think he says, oh, I can't monitor who is doing, Zaka is doing work, somebody else is not doing work. It says the buck stops there. So for the chief minister or the MP or the MLA or the minister in charge to say, no, it's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to allocate budgets.
For that improvement, my constitution needs to change, and the bureaucracy from becoming a sarkari damad forever has to become an answerable employee. If you can change it, if anybody, the lawyers, the judiciary does not change. The judiciary is fulfilled with nepotism in its own rights. So what are you expecting to change?
Mr. Malik, if your contention is, one second, if your contention is an assistant engineer is not listening to you, deputy commissioner is not listening to you, the elected authorities in this country have enough powers. The constitution gives them enough powers to take action against these people.
No, sir.
Suspend them.
No, sir. I will tell you. As per my state laws, elected MLA cannot call an IS officer for a meeting. He can
not in MLA.
Level,
but the minister surely can.
Call him.
One second. The minister surely can. The chief minister surely can.
Minister is a different. There are only 7 or 10, 9 ministers, Zaka, in the whole of Haryana. Let's now those 10, 15
ministers. ये कैसी बात हुई? No.
ये 15 मिनिस्टर बैठ के कुछ नहीं कर सकते साहब. मैं आपको एक चीज बता रहा हूं.
Delhi also has only 7 or 8 ministers.
Just give me 30 seconds. Zaka, just listen out to me. This is something very important. 30 seconds. My city has one officer by the name of R.S. Bhatt. He takes no nonsense. He is taking care of the encroachments. Barring that one officer, I have not been given, my city has not been given any other. Give me at least 10 officers like that and 10 people like me. I will change the city in 6 months. Finish. It does not take time.
Is it our fault?
Because you do not have to take any nonsense from anybody.
Your party is the chief minister. You're running the government.
I am calling a spade a spade.
Sir,
I am not running the government.
Point is,
I am a caretaker of the party. I am not running the government. But I am telling you, I call a spade a spade.
The authority to appoint, transfer, suspend all of these executives, whether they are engineers, commissioners, etc., are all with the state government. Anyway, I want to get more callers before I go to Leena Dhankar. Just give me 1 second, please, because I've got more callers, and I think this is important. I think people need to hear on television, on social media, the powers that be. This has to reach all the way to Chandigarh, because that's where the powers that be are, who can actually make a difference to the lives of ordinary residents of Gurugram. Mr. Pradeep is calling us from Gurugram. Sorry for the wait. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, Mr. Pradeep. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, and thanks, for raising this such a important debate. I travel from Aero City to Gurugram, and it took me 7 hours in last month. I think there was a big rain, and yesterday it took me 4 hours. One of the big challenges which we face is all the entry points to Gurugram were choked. You came with the swanky Dwarka Expressway, but the SPR is blocked. You come from if you take NH8 because of Rajiv Chowk, the traffic gets till Onion Mall. Sir, I'm into this facility operations team, in this one, and I have lived in countries like Australia, Africa, and I visited, many other countries, all European countries. Most of the place taking care of the city, infrastructure is privatized, and those companies, those are large companies. They really take good care of it, and I totally agree with Mr. Suhail. He raised this issue. He's been raising this issue, I think, for last couple of months, that Gurugram must be adopted by the private sector.
Okay.
So there is no point of deal of launching 10 CR project at SPR, and you can't even reach there. So
okay. All right. Thanks, Mr. Pradeep. I think you made a valid point. I'll put that to our panelists as well. I want to get one more caller in. Dr. Avantika is again joining us from Gurugram. Yeah, Dr. Avantika, yes.
My point is that I live in Sector 79, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have put onus on the individual people, telling them that what is right, what is wrong. Why don't, as individuals, we boycott all the elections once and for all, right? So unless and until they don't make it work, we'll not vote for them. That's okay.
Okay.
We can't stop not giving taxes, right? We can't stop going to the jobs. We have to do it. It's our earning. We are giving our taxes on time. So the only thing we can do is stop electing anybody. Once we don't elect, they'll be on their foot on road.
Okay, Dr.
Because that's
Avantika,
how they
I
earn
don't know
money.
how practical it is. There will always be some people
who gets elected. What are you going to do
there
with
will
that?
always be people, who will vote in a democracy, and there should be as many people as can vote. But I want to go across to Leena Dhankar. You've also been tracking and talking about this on social media. I still am not able to understand, in a democracy, there has to be political accountability. If people are talking about this, crying from the rooftops about this, I fail to understand how elected representatives are not feeling that same pain and don't feel responsive and responsible enough to take action.
See, we need to understand and identify the reasons why Gurugram floods every monsoon. So there are major three things. First, poor planning, broken infrastructure, and reckless urbanization. As per the records in 1950, there used to be 600 natural water drains in Gurugram. And now, if we look at the records, there are not even 50 left. So where did they vanish? They didn't vanish overnight, right? So a lot of constructions were done. Who are these people who have given these CLUs? Who are these builders who have built societies or colonies on these natural drains? So whenever it rains, there is no channel, there is no natural channel left for rainwater to go. So where does it go? It comes on the street. So that is one of the major reasons. But has government ever held anyone accountable? Any official booked for or any case registered against anyone for giving these CLUs or during their tenure the colony was built? So nothing was done. So who are the people? It is not only about government. It is officials, government, and we as the residents as well. The drains are clogged. It is full of debris, construction materials. Who's putting them in?
No, but tell me, ma'am, you are talking about, okay, who gave the permission? This happened maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. But what can we do about that now? My question now is, what can the city, what can the corporation, whose job it is to ensure that water drains itself out, there are avenues for water to drain itself out, what can be done by them, what needs to be done by them, and what can be done by the citizens to put pressure on them to do this?
So, see, there are two things. First, to create pressure, we need to mobilize. We need to, residents need to come up together without any internal politics and talk about the issue, help protest, speak to the authorities. Regular meetings are required with the officials. The drains which are clogged, regular tender for cleaning the drains, for cleaning the stretches is required. We'll give tenders. So as you said in the beginning, rupees 400 crores have spent on sanitation.
Yeah.
But what is the real amount spent on the ground? Where does this amount go? 400 crores per year for cleaning the stretches is a huge amount. Are the government spending that entire amount? Where is the amount going? Who's using
So
that
what?
amount?
Are you saying that somebody is sort of eating this up? Kuch gabla ho raha hai? Somebody is, siphoning away the money?
Corruption is at all level. Without corruption, this is not possible. 400 crores for one city. It's a huge amount. You can clean the entire district easily.
Okay.
If the money is going
So
in the right
Suhail,
pocket.
you heard a caller saying we should privatize, urban water management and garbage management and so on and so forth. You heard Ms. Dhankar saying that, look, there's a lot of money that's being allocated. Where is all this money going? Is it that, it's the builder lobby plus babudam and lack of political accountability? I mean, where's the money going?
No one knows. And let me tell you, it's a very, very important point, and I will end with this. Zaka, it is no one's point to point fingers, but we are only fixing responsibility and accountability. If citizens don't fix accountability and responsibility in partnership with the media, who will? These people will run asunder. Can you imagine? Every media channel today is focused on Gurugram. Have you even heard a squeak from the powers that be? Have you? Has Naib Singh Saini said something? Has the government issued a statement? No. The DC Gurugram, poor chap, has issued a statement that it's rained and flooded as if we didn't know. But has anything happened? No. So the point I'm making is Raman Malik can say, oh, there's only an MLA can't call an officer. I don't care. Sort your own issues out. I don't care whether he can call an officer, whether he has to phone him, whether he has to bow. We don't care. The point is the city is being mismanaged, and it's a great disservice to brand India that the Prime Minister is promoting. And the tragedy here is a BJP government is in Uttar Pradesh, a BJP government in Madhya Pradesh. You can have Lucknow and Indore. Why is the mess there with Gurugram? And if it is a legacy issue, then go back into the legacy issues and arrest people who've been part of the nexus. See, Raman's point and Leena's point, and obviously the Serbian gentleman, the Serbian I'm leaving aside because he's a foreigner. The point here very simply is, yes, there were mistakes made in the past. This party has been in power for 11 years. What is the solution? Let's imagine, Zaka, we forgive and forget everything that's happened last night and today and tomorrow. Where is a transparent plan for the future? Because let me tell you, Zaka, Gurugram could become a national treasure. Right now, it is a national shame.
Yep.
We have to make the choice, both as citizens and India lovers.
Okay.
I don't want my brand India to suffer for no rhyme or reason when things can be fixed.
We'll leave it at that. Like I said, we don't want to go back into history and blame other people and previous governments. Maybe they had their share. Maybe all this rampant construction should not have happened. There should have been adequate sort of building bylaws followed and made sure that, you have proper drainage systems before the construction can come. But that didn't happen. And that's not going to help, talking about it now. What we need now is solutions for what has happened last night in Gurgaon and what could likely, and this is the unfortunate part, it's raining right now. You never know what's going to happen tonight. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow night. Again, the prediction for tomorrow night is more rain. So you could see a worse situation tomorrow. So we'll see. We hope and pray, if you're a resident of Gurugram or anywhere in the national capital, for this rain to subside and, of course, life to get back to a degree of normalcy. But I want to move on to some international stories. And yesterday there were these very, very powerful pictures from Tianjin at the SCO summit. But the first and only reaction we have to that from the US President Donald Trump, he posted on Truth Social. He seems to have doubled down, at least as far as his posters goes, on his criticism of India, calling trade ties with India a totally one-sided disaster. Trump claimed that India had offered to reduce its tariffs on US goods to zero, underlining that New Delhi should have done so years ago and it's getting too late. Too late for what? We don't know. He hasn't mentioned that. Not only is that statement far from the truth, it's not necessarily true that India is running up the biggest trade surplus with the United States, but there's also a degree of frustration that has crept in that statement because it comes in the backdrop of what I said. The visit in Tianjin, you had those pictures, very friendly meetings and, conviviality going on between Modi, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. These are unlikely partners, unlikely friends, and one could argue that Trump and his tariff tantrums in a way pushed India into the China and Russia corner. Let's listen in to some reactions coming in. People like Navarro continue to insist that it's India that's, actually doing a laundromat for the Kremlin, for Putin, and for him to continue his war. Let's listen into some reactions, and then I'll also get a guest to weigh in on what exactly is going on.
Problem is that India literally is the Maharaja of tariffs. It has the highest tariffs of any major country in the world, and it's in denial about that. It tries to tell everybody out there that that's not true when it is demonstrably true. So they should engage with us. They haven't done that. It was a shame to see Modi getting in bed as the leader of the biggest democracy in the world with the two biggest authoritarian dictators in the world, in Putin and Xi Jinping. That doesn't make any sense.
So, do the facts actually hold up? Trump says that trade between India and the United States is a one-sided disaster. He claims that US trade is almost nil towards India, and it's India that's doing all the exporting and all the trade to the US. He's painted a very bleak picture of America's trade deficit with India. Let's put that to test. Is this trade imbalance only with India? Is India really a tariff king, as Navarro and others have been saying? This is data as per the U.S. Trade Bureau. In 2024, the U.S. trade deficit with China was the highest with any country, was close to $300 billion. $295 billion was the trade deficit that the United States had with China. And because of geopolitical rivalries, the US imported nearly $500 billion worth of goods from China that year. Then you have Mexico, which is again one of the largest trade partners. It happens to be a neighbor, and because of the free trade arrangement that the US has with Canada and Mexico, or at least had up until earlier this year, Mexico runs a $170 billion trade surplus with the United States. And then it's Vietnam. Would you consider that? Vietnam runs up a massive trade surplus with the United States. Vietnam has a trade surplus to the tune of $123 billion. And that's followed by Ireland at $86 billion, Germany at $84 billion, Taiwan, which exports a large amount of semiconductors and chips. Taiwan has a $73 billion, followed by Japan, South Korea, and Canada. In fact, India is not even in the top 10 in the list of countries that have a trade surplus with the United States. India is 11th in that list. India's trade surplus with the US is at $46 billion, which, like I said, is not even in the top 10.
We never negotiate trade deals with deadlines. We only negotiate for a good deal, fair, equitable, mutually beneficial. India is always open to a fair, equitable and mutually beneficial trading arrangement, trade agreement, which rests on the pillar of trade.
Okay, I want to go across to Mr. David Goldwyn. He is the president of Goldwyn Global Strategies, LLC, geopolitical expert and energy expert. Mr. Goldwyn, thank you very much for speaking with us. So you had these images from Tianjin, the leaders of India, China, Russia sort of coming together. And then you had the Truth Social post by the President of the United States saying, trade with India is a one-sided affair and, India is ripping us off. And he's called India the Maharaja of tariffs, so on and so forth. I just put out the data of, the top 10 countries that have a trade surplus with the United States. India is not even in that top 10. So what exactly is going on here? Because the trade data, the trade numbers don't quite add up. So why is then Trump punishing India using the ruse of the trade deficit?
Well, thank you for having me today, and a pleasure to be with you. What's going on here is that Trump is trying to negotiate a number of trade deals. It's politically important for him to show wins, and he's had some success with the European Union and then with Japan. But India is different, and he has both overreached in using pressure. He has underestimated the complexity of the issues for India, and he has, in a sense, undermined U.S. strategic goals by not only re-legitimizing Russia, but pushing Russia and China and India closer together. It's been a classic Trump tactic to both exaggerate and intimidate in the hopes of bullying the other party into a concession. And this doesn't work in a country like India, which has, not only a strong, sense of its own sovereignty, but Trump has not understood that countries have their own politics. So agriculture, incredibly sensitive in India. He didn't seek an agriculture deal with EU, and he didn't seek one with Japan either. So pushing for that for India is too much. He also overestimated the oil weapon. He thought by singling out India for importing Russian crude, when China still imports more, as does, and Turkey imports and others do as well, that he would be able to bully India into a concession. But it's really backfired on all fronts. And then you have fringe characters like Peter Navarro, who is an advisor. He's not the lead on trade, he's an advisor. And, he is, fourth behind, at least behind Howard Lutnick and behind the trade representative Jameson Greer and Scott Bessent, who's really leading these negotiations. So you just have the lack of discipline of a fringe character mouthing off, frankly racist and inappropriate statements. All of this indiscipline really is undermining U.S. interests. And I think there is a way back, but I think it's time for the U.S. and India to apply some diplomacy and get out of the strategic cul-de-sac that frankly, President Trump has painted himself into.
I want to come to that in 1 second, but I want to talk about the oil tariffs, because what was striking about these secondary tariffs for importing Russian oil is that India is the only country on whom this 25% tariff has been applied. No other country faces this. China, as you said, imports a hell of a lot more than India does, Russian oil, and yet China doesn't get slapped with this extra 25%. If you were to look at Russian gas, the European Union as a whole imports a whole lot of Russian gas, a whole lot more than India. Again, there is no secondary tariff in the European Union for importing Russian gas. So from India's vantage, it's like, why are you singling us out? I mean, this is not like a tariff anymore. There's no economic rationale for this. This is like a sanction. You're punishing us.
Yes, I would add to your parade of horribles the fact that the United States also imports uranium from Russia as well. This is really about Trump's estimation of leverage. The reality is, as you've seen with China, he doesn't have a lot of leverage over China. China can withhold critical minerals and other things important to the U.S., so tariffs have been deferred, negotiations have been delayed, and that negotiation is carrying on without punishment. Trump has also not really sanctioned Russia in any other forum. He hasn't sanctioned any of the Go ships. He hasn't really imposed any consequences. So this is really just about the trade deal. This is Trump's perception that India is vulnerable on oil, and therefore by using that weapon and threatening the additional 25% tariff, that he would be able to extract these concessions. And that was just a miscalculation. It is both deeply hypocritical in that these sanctions aren't being enforced against China and others, and counterproductive in that it's pushing others together. And this isn't the only place this has happened. I mean, in Venezuela also, the U.S. has, threatened secondary tariffs against any country that imports Venezuelan oil. India has respected U.S. sanctions in Venezuela and also the U.S. on crude at almost a $30 discount. So this is making China great again. It does not make sense from a strategic point of view, but this is really all about finding pressure points to intimidate India. And what I think Prime Minister Modi has done with the SCO visit, Putin's incoming visit, is build some leverage and build some capital and show that India has choices. All that said, India's better choice, the United States' better choice, is to work together. And I think rather than let this, turn into some strategic race to the bottom, it's really time for us to look at what is the upside of cooperation. I think this is underappreciated on the Trump side, both from the economic cooperation and the security cooperation that is so important for containing China's aggrandizement. But he's basically gambled that India would concede on the oil weapon, and that gamble has not paid off.
All right, David Goldman, thank you very much for joining us and putting that into perspective for our viewers. As you said, it is a strategic cul-de-sac. Is there a way that the Trump administration can realize the mistake that it's made? It's really pushed India into the Russia and China corner. And is there a way to sort of pull back and make nice, if you will? Let's now move on to the other story that we're tracking. And tomorrow, China will be commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory in World War II. And Chinese President Xi Jinping is hosting Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, the leader of Iran, and a whole bunch of other world leaders for what is the largest ever military parade that's been on display in China. It's a show of strength. It's also a reminder of history, but it's also a strategic move. It's sending out a very clear signal to Washington and the West, and India also needs to pay attention to what's happening there. This is a deep dive into what to expect tomorrow at the big 80th anniversary celebrations, the Victory Day celebrations of China's defeat of Imperial Japan in World War II. China's September 3rd military parade will be held to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the War of Resistance against Japan. This will be a celebration of China's victory in World War II. It will be the fourth such military event since President Xi Jinping came to power more than 10 years ago. Yet the context of this parade today is strikingly different. At home, China faces massive economic headwinds, but its military strength continues to grow. Abroad, its ties with the West, particularly with the United States, are increasingly tense. And at the same time, China is at the forefront of the post-war international order that's being reshaped. the single biggest pressure point on all countries happens to be the continuing Russia-Ukraine war. This year's parade in 2025 is not simply a ceremonial display of troops and weapons. What China intends to do is a carefully orchestrated act of strategic communication. China will be weaving together messages of military strength, diplomatic positioning, and historical narratives which are directed at audiences both at home and abroad. The military element in particular is designed as much for domestic consumption as it is for foreign, particularly with an eye on the United States. China will also be seeking to send a signal to some key neighbors with whom it has ongoing maritime disputes, whether it's Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. Just like in the past and the military parades that have happened in the last 10 years, Beijing will showcase some of the newly commissioned or soon-to-be commissioned weapons. But it will be careful not to display any weapon which is still in the testing stage or which are some of the most super secretive projects. Yet, given the surge of military modernization in recent years, the 2025 parade is expected to feature more advanced military equipment than in any other parade before it. The focus will be on fourth-generation tanks, carrier-based aircraft, and fifth-generation fighter jets. Also prominently featured will be new capabilities in cyber and electronic warfare, including drones, energy weapons, and jamming systems, along with hypersonic missiles, air defense systems, and strategic strike carrier groups. For a domestic audience in China, this reinforces the message that China is no longer just a middle-income economy, it is today a superpower. And that is a key part of the Chinese Communist Party's claim to legitimacy. For foreign audiences, it sends a signal that the People's Liberation Army is no longer preparing for future wars, but is rather a combat-ready army here and now. The parade will also underline the PLA's ability to project power, deter adversaries, and enforce China's security claims, many of which are contested in the region. China sees itself as the regional hegemon, and this parade will reinforce the image of power projection to China's disputed neighbors. It will also closely be followed across the straits in Taiwan, because in Taipei there is creeping fear that sooner than later there could be an armed confrontation by Beijing to forcibly annex Taiwan. But the diplomatic centerpiece of this year's military parade will be Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Russian president will attend the parade. He also took part in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit earlier this week. For Putin, who is still isolated by the Ukraine war, Beijing offers legitimacy. For Xi Jinping, Putin's presence underscores China and Russia's no-limits partnership. The two leaders were sitting side by side, just like Xi Jinping did for Russia's own World War II anniversary parade that happened back in May. And the images of Xi and Putin sitting side by side, sitting together, overseeing the parade will be one of the most striking images from the event. And the timing of this parade is particularly noteworthy. As Washington brokers a trilateral US-Russia-Ukraine dialogue, Xi Jinping and Putin are expected to quietly discuss what kind of post-war arrangement there would be in Ukraine. For Beijing, this is a chance to project itself as a responsible power. For Moscow, it's a path out of isolation. Joining Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin will be the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and President Masoud Pezeshkian of Iran. This is the first time that the leaders of these four countries, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, will be gathering in the same place. Kim Jong-un, in fact, traveled from Pyongyang to Beijing by high-speed train, which in itself became a big talking point on social media. Other guests who are expected to attend include Min Aung Hlaing, who is the chief of Myanmar's junta, the army, President Denis Sassou of the Republic of Congo. These are all leaders who hail from countries who don't exactly have a great human rights record. The parade is also an opportunity for diplomatic theater. It may break records for foreign attendance. Reports are emerging in particular of high-level leaders from most Southeast Asian countries will be there, excluding only the Philippines. This contrast is deliberate. By assembling leaders from Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Central Asia, Africa, and Latin America, Beijing is seeking to send the message that it is the representative of the global South. The attendance of Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Myanmar, despite some of them having maritime disputes with China, will allow Beijing to claim that most Southeast Asian countries prefer cooperation over confrontation with Beijing, despite the ongoing territorial disputes in the South China Sea. For decades, the global narrative of World War II has privileged the contributions of the United States and Soviet Union. Victory Day is a mandatory celebration in Europe. History has not exactly remembered China's sacrifices in bringing about the end of World War II in Asia and the defeat of Imperial Japan. The parade provides Xi Jinping an important stage to retell China's story to the world. China, according to folklore, has played a decisive role in defeating Japan and shaping the outcome of the war in Asia. It also reinforces nationalist pride at home and Beijing's claim that it was one of the founding architects of post-war order. The overarching message is that China is not merely flaunting its military strength, it's presenting an integrated narrative. That it was a decisive actor in the past, it's a formidable power in the present, and it aspires to shape the future. America and the West better watch out. Thanks for watching Brass Tacks from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Co-presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nation at 5. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing a public event in Bihar today, condemned the abuse and abusive remarks that were made about him and his late mother from a joint RJD Congress platform during the India Bloc's Voter Adhikar rally in Darbhanga last week. Calling it an insult to all women, Prime Minister Modi said that my mother had nothing to do with politics, even despite that, she was then abused. He said that these remarks deeply hurt not just him, but mothers and daughters across Bihar and across the country. He questioned the dignity of the political discourse under the opposition's leadership. Meanwhile, the NDA has now called for a Bihar Bandh on the 4th of September over this abuse to Prime Minister and his mother.
बिहार में आरजेडी कांग्रेस के मंच से मेरी मां को गालियां दी गई। ये गालियां सिर्फ मेरी मां का अपमान नहीं है, ये देश की मां, बहन, बेटी का अपमान है। आप सब जानते हैं, अब मेरी मां का शरीर तो इस दुनिया में नहीं है। कुछ समय पहले 100 साल की उम्र पूरी करके वो हम सबको छोड़ के चली गई। एक गरीब मां की तपस्या, उसके बेटे की पीड़ा, ये शाही खानदानों में पैदा हुए युवराज नहीं समझ सकते। ये नामदार लोग तो सोने चांदी का चम्मच लेकर पैदा हुए हैं। वो तो यही मानते हैं कि देश और बिहार की सत्ता इन्हें अपने खानदान की विरासत लगती है। इन्हें लगता है कुर्सी इन्हें ही मिलनी चाहिए।
न कांग्रेस में कोई ऐसा नेता या कार्यकर्ता है जो किसी की मां का अपमान कर सकता है। मैं पूरी उम्मीद है मुझे कि बीजेपी में भी ऐसा नहीं होगा। लेकिन जो व्यक्ति कहता है मैं नॉन बायोलॉजिकल हूं, वो किसका अपमान कर रहा है? क्या वो अपनी मां का अपमान नहीं कर रहा?
Aman, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective on this. Aman, the BJP is not going to let this go. They've decided to make it a political issue ahead of upcoming elections in Bihar.
Well, absolutely, Poonam, and especially after the Prime Minister has said today what he had to say while addressing this event in Bihar. Now we have senior ministers, Mr. Amit Shah, JP Nadda, the BJP president, also put out statements condemning what happened on on August 27th in Darbhanga, and the Prime Minister making it very, very clear that this was not just an insult of his late mother, it's an insult of every woman in Bihar, and that is why the BJP has decided to make this a major issue in Bihar. As we all know, the woman voter has always been a strong bloc for the NDA, both for the BJP and the JDU. There have been various issues in Bihar, be it the prohibition in Bihar or the improvement in the law and order which has happened in Bihar under the NDA rule. That is why the woman voter has rallied behind the NDA. With this particular issue now, the Prime Minister saying that his late mother was insulted from the stage of the Congress and the RJD, and no top Congress or RJD leader has apologized for the same. The Prime Minister saying that the people of Bihar, especially the women of Bihar, will never forget this insult, and that is why BJP is escalating there now. The BJP's Women Morcha in Bihar has called for a Bihar Bandh after a day on September 4th, and leading BJP leaders speaking about it in the larger context of Bihar elections. The BJP is trying to make it a larger issue about women's safety, women asmita, and saying that the RJD has never respected women, nor has the Congress party, and that shows in the lawlessness which prevailed in their rule in Bihar. And if they come back to power, these attacks and these insults of women in Bihar will only increase. That is why we see the BJP upping the ante on this particular issue.
Right, Aman, thank you so much for getting us the latest.
CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
A very good evening. We're coming live to you from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. You're watching the Hard Facts with me, Akanksha Swarup. The abusive remarks passed against Prime Minister Modi's late mother are back to haunt the Congress party and the RJD. This because they were made at an India Bloc rally in Bihar's Darbhanga last week. A local Congress supporter, Mohammad Rizvi, was arrested and sent to 14-day judicial custody. But today, Prime Minister, who's back from his tour to Japan and China, finally broke his silence. He slammed the RJD and Congress for an anti-women mindset. In fact, the Prime Minister has accused both